Hello and welcome to Recharge Wrestling. We are here to plug you into the world of professional wrestling. I'm Keeney and I'm joined by Fisher.
Hello, guys.
And this is our WWE review. So we will go through the week in WWE, SmackDown, Raw, and NXT. But first, over to our news correspondent, Fax Fisher, because we do have some news this week from WWE.
Yeah, the main news story I'd say from WWE this week was the arrival of War Games on the main roster of WWE. So it's never been brought up before on the main roster under Vince McMahon. Obviously been in Triple H's NXT as a mainstay every year, like Survivor Series weekend. And now we have it on the main roster. So that's great.
It is, yeah. We had a dog getting very excited there about the War Games news.
Yeah, sorry about that. She just as soon as I start press record, she starts going mental. So if you can't hear me very well,
that's right. It's exciting news. It's exciting news for the dog. Yeah, I mean, it's huge news, and what I like about it is it's replacing the Survivor Series old tradition of Raw, SmackDown, these kind of pointless matches.
Yes, I think that's the key thing that's come out of it. It's not going to be Raw v SmackDown. It's going to be storyline driven because they could have easily done. Oh, we'll do War Games, but it'll still be SmackDown versus Raw. They're not doing that.
I think you might be a bit gutted because I think you were looking forward to Gunter Lashley, weren't you? Which may not happen now if they're not going Raw v SmackDown.
They might not do that. I mean, that's a shame, but I'd rather have a War Games match than
You know, I'm not against Raw v SmackDown if there's some consequences to it, but they're just pointless. There's like nothing. I mean, nothing. Like
I think we've had it too many years now in a row.
Yeah, I think you need a change, and I think this is. And you know, Triple H has said they're going to be storyline driven. They're not going to be, like I say, not just going to be random Raw v SmackDown matches. In the War Games itself, it's going to be a men's and a women's War game.
Possibilities with how they're building factions and stuff at the moment. Like,
I think you have to go Bloodline, don't you?
Bloodline are prime candidates, and I'm assuming because obviously Survivor Series matches have been 5 in the past, but War Games are 4 teams of 4. So I think what you can do is you can have the Bloodline minus Roman Reigns in the War Games match, and then have Roman Reigns still defend his title on the show.
Yeah.
So you can have Sami Zayn,
or you could have a storyline where before Survivor Series, Sami Zayn turns to the face team, and then Sami Zayn is against the Bloodline.
Or even like Jey Uso because Solo's so into Sami Zayn. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah,
like Jey Uso doesn't get on the team or something crazy like that, and that's why I like something mad. There's so many ways you can go with it with the Bloodline. There's also you could potentially have like the Brawling Brutes and like Drew teaming with them or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Imperium Brutes.
We'll get to the SmackDown tag titles match, but we've got them 2 factions going against each other in the tag title match. So there's a possibility we could build to it from there. And then on the women's side as well, you've also got obviously Damage Control.
Yeah, you think they're prime candidates.
You've got Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, and Asuka sort of teaming together. So I'm assuming it'll be based around them. With an extra member added on both sides.
Yeah, so this kind of all makes sense because you're going to want one for Raw, one for SmackDown. You're going to want one for the men, one for the women. And I think if you do the Raw women's division and the SmackDown men's division, I
think it kind of crosses over.
Yeah, I mean, I guess on SmackDown, unless you did Brawling Brutes with someone, Brawling Brutes and Drew against the Bloodline or something could be.
I mean, the other storyline you can go with is if you do have Roman Reigns in it, and then maybe you have sort of someone who's challenging, say Kevin Owens being the prime thing for storyline reasons, purely because you can have Kevin versus Sami, and that's where Sami won't do something to Kevin and gets kicked out of the Bloodline or something like that. That costs them the match, you know, and then KO pins one of them, and then Sami gets kicked out. Like, there's so many possibilities you can go with having that as well. You could have like KO and then a couple of people from SmackDown Raw. They say they don't have to do brand split here, so they can really go anywhere they want with it, and that's the beauty of it, because Roman and the Usos as well are champions on both brands, so it's easy to make the storyline where the Usos can turn up on Raw because they're the Raw Tag Team Champions as well. So then that's where you can have Raw people get involved. But yeah, obviously, I think the women's makes more sense from the Raw side because there's not a lot going on. It's hard to find
anything on SmackDown.
Especially the only thing you could do is if Liv gets a team and Ronda gets a team, and he did Liv v Ronda somehow.
Yeah, Ronda, Shayna, Natalia.
I don't think it would be particularly good. In comparison to the other
Liv's
side.
team, you're struggling. It's like Liv,
Raquel, and Aaliyah.
Raquel and Aaliyah, probably that's the 4. Yeah, I mean it's not terrible, but I think Damage Control.
But
the Damage Control is only 3 though. Who do you put with Damage Control? Because unless you do 3v3, I don't know what you do, but Damage Control don't feel like they can team with anyone because they're kind of their own unit.
Yeah,
that's the only thing that feels a bit off. I've seen some suggestions.
The only person I think you could bring in is Sasha Banks if she came back because of her relationship with Bayley. Would make sense.
Potentially.
But then you wouldn't have Sasha and Naomi together, which I think will happen.
Yeah.
You could have them split and go Naomi on the other team. That would be interesting.
Yeah. I've seen some like mock-up pictures, and one was for the men's side, actually, rather than having 4v4, have 3v3v3 and have the Brawling Brutes, Imperium, and the Bloodline. So but it's just Roman and Usos, or Solo, Sakura and Usos, whichever 3, and just do that, which would be insane.
Yeah, I kind of prefer the idea of Roman not being in that match and having a one-on-one match to make it. The show would feel huge then. If you have 2 War Games matches plus Roman defending his title, that's a huge show. And I think Roman is a bit of a waste in being in a War Games match. I just don't feel he'll do a lot in it. I think it would be, he's not going to do crazy spots. He's not going to do, I think it would be better him having, say, him v Seth Rollins, 10-year anniversary of the Shield, do that storyline that we've been wanting.
Yeah.
A lot of people online talking about, and then you can do the KO maybe, especially with Rollins being a heel, maybe going against Roman in War Games might not make sense, but going for the title would.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he wants the title, and he's just also, we'll get to it on Raw, but he just went for the United States title and lost. So
yeah,
I can see him being like, I want the Universal title. I'm coming for it soon. Obviously, Roman's got to get past Logan Paul first. But again, let's move on to SmackDown, and we can talk about that, can't we?
Yeah, exactly. Let's go on, and well, let's start with that then. Well, we had Logan Paul open the show and invite Roman Reigns to his press conference in Vegas. I think this was one of the worst kept secrets. I think this was all over Twitter.
As soon as they did the podcast,
Friday morning,
I listened
Thursday
to the
night.
podcast last week that Roman Reigns was on. I thought I'd give it a listen because Roman Reigns doesn't appear on many podcasts, and I thought it'd be a good insight to Roman, to Logan Paul, get to know him a bit better as a character. It was a good podcast, but yeah, the ending of it made it feel like Logan was going to challenge Roman.
Yeah,
like,
this is the second time they've used a podcast to start a storyline.
Yeah, I quite like
Pat McAfee. It's different, and it's what people, it's quite a popular.
Interestingly, the first one was a Vince thing, which is unexpected. I mean, Triple H feels like he would do that, but this was cool.
It's confirmed for Crown Jewel. I don't know when Crown Jewel is. It's shortly after Extreme Rules.
I think it's Survivor Series. I think it's the end of October. I think
so. It's in between the two.
Yeah.
And I assume it's going to be on sociable time for us in the UK.
Oh, it will be,
as usual. So that's always a nice one. We can usually release a pod quite quickly after. Don't have to wait till the morning after.
That is one of the nice things about the Saudi Arabia shows for us. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and like this has got a bit of criticism, I think, and I do understand some of the criticism, but it does feel like a big match. Something like Logan Paul faced Floyd Mayweather just off the bat.
Well, they mentioned that in the promo.
Yeah, and I think it works. I think this will get eyes on the match.
Generally, I don't like celebrities being in title matches purely because you think they're never going to win.
I mean, he has got a full-time contract,
but. Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure the match will be good. I think the build's been handled pretty well so far. I love I actually, not on TV, but I've seen bits from the press conference, and I really like that. And they also used it to feud build. I don't know if you've seen the Instagram post by Jey Uso, but feud. So Jey, there's the picture. I'm sure you've probably seen the pictures of the bloodline.
Yes, yeah.
And then he's got a clown face over Sami Zayn.
Yeah,
just so they're using it for that as well. And I just think you can do multiple things with one. Thing I thought it was a really cool. It made the fight seem legit, which is a kind of a good thing. I like it when they do that.
Yeah, this, like I say, I think it was maybe the press conference side of it. I just think this feels like a big deal to me, and I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I will be the first one to go nuts, like in anger, if Logan Paul beats Roman Reigns.
Yes, he should never win.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm like, Roman is going to be like, I'd like to see Logan Paul have a couple of matches on SmackDown, or maybe has one at Extreme Rules against like Sami Zayn or something, and although he has fought Sami Zayn before, hasn't he?
No.
Logan Paul, does he not? No. Okay.
No, it was
Was it the
I
Miz?
think he's only had 2, isn't it? The Miz. He teamed with the Miz, then fought the Miz.
Yeah, no, you're right. So I think I want to see Logan Paul kind of prove himself a little bit in ring before then. I don't want his next match to be Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I can't. I don't think we'll get that. But I agree with you. I'd like to see that. Maybe Harris places one of the Usos. Solo Sikoa would probably make the most sense out of them all.
Yeah.
At Extreme Rules would be cool. One noticeable thing here as well was Paul Heyman's return. He's not been seen since SummerSlam when he got F5.
Yeah.
So he was on TV here. I was like, oh, it's cool to see Paul back. And Paul did say in an interview recently, he's only going to come back when it feels like a big time thing to come back for.
Yeah.
So the fact that Paul Heyman's here as well makes it feel more big, in my opinion, because we've had feuds before where Paul Heyman's not really had much involvement in it, but he was doing the promo here with Logan because Roman obviously wasn't on the show this week. He is going to be this week.
And I think if you'd have told me 6 months ago Paul Heyman wouldn't be on TV as often, I'd have been quite gutted. But I think at the moment there's so much going on with the bloodline, and I think Paul Heyman isn't needed. And I think it's right to use him sparingly as and when these big matches come around.
Because, almost use him just to be a promoter. Not in storyline, just promote a match. And that's what he done here, really. He bigged him up. He talked about Floyd Mayweather and stuff. He made the match feel bigger than it probably did before. So that's what Paul Heyman's great at. He doesn't need to do it again every week. And if he's not on TV this week, it won't matter. Because Roman's there anyway. And I don't feel like Roman needs Paul to talk for him.
I know. And Bloodline's got so much going on as well. Get on in this episode. There's so much happened bloodline wise this week.
Oh, absolutely.
On SmackDown, Raw, and NXT, it's all going on for the bloodline. So they're everywhere, all over every WWE product, which is great to see. We should probably start then. Talk about the bloodline. We had a couple of members in matches on SmackDown. We had Sami Zayn against Ricochet.
Yep.
Which Ricochet won. But with Jey Uso trying to help but not helping. Zayn confronted Jey Uso and Ricochet took advantage.
You had Logan Paul ringside for this as well on Ricochet's side, which was interesting.
Yeah,
you could even do a tag match of Ricochet if you wanted to do a match.
Yeah, I mean Ricochet's not doing a lot at the moment.
He's not doing anything. You had him here sort of helping him. He did try and distract the ref once to counter the bloodline. So I mean it's a bit random, but you could do that.
Yeah, exactly. And then later on in the night we got a North American Championship match on SmackDown, which I didn't think we'd see.
Yeah, and I've got a little bit of a criticism for this, purely because of what happened on NXT after.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense for them to have the North American title match on SmackDown. Why did Shawn Michaels not say before? Because what happened if Madcap, in reality, right? If Madcap Moss had won, Darren Welsh,
they'd have been screwed.
Yeah, so so that made no sense, and that's my little bit of a criticism for that. I thought it was really cool to see the North American title on SmackDown and them having the match.
It was, and it was a good match. I mean, as Sami Zayn and
Sami Zayn and Ricochet they've had 3 or 4 over the Continental title that were fantastic, and they had another really good one.
Yeah, but I think so. I mean, it's not a surprise, but Solo Sikoa has just fit in like a glove, hasn't he? There is no he's new to the roster, maybe need to blood him in. He is he feels almost like the leader.
He's had a main event
when Reigns
against Drew McIntyre and title defense already on the main roster on TV in 2 weeks.
And he's had a fair bit of time talking backstage, getting involved. He's right in amongst it, and just Solo Sikoa is. And
before his match, that's what the bit I want to talk about really, because this was my favorite thing probably on the whole show, to be honest with you. And it's Sami Zayn stealing the show with the help of Solo here. But
been phenomenal, Sami Zayn.
So Solo's backstage and they're talking, and he tells Jay that his game is off today for the Sami Zayn match.
Yeah. And
then he looks at Sami and says, "You coming, Sami?" And the look on Jey Uso's face was like, "Oh my God, what the fuck?"
I know.
It's the fact that I didn't expect it to go this way. I thought Solo was going to be coming in and be like, "We don't need Sami Zayn, you're out," straight away.
Yeah.
But what he's doing is he's actually favouring Sami Zayn over the Jey Uso. And I feel like Roman has been doing that slightly as well.
He has, yeah. Jey Uso feels like the outcast here.
Yeah, so I think they're making it so that it feels like Jey Uso is going to be the one that gets kicked out of the bloodline.
Yeah.
Which I don't think will end up being the case, but they're making it look like that. And that's really, it's such a good storyline. And I'm just loving everything they're doing in the bloodline at the moment.
Nice.
Jey Uso and Sami Zayn are making it really, really good. Then you've got Roman and what he does, which is amazing. Jimmy's adding parts to it. He's not doing too much, but then
Jimmy's always been the one that's defended Sammy, but now Solo's here. Jimmy does feel a bit redundant, but yeah, it's just like everyone's against Jay at the moment, which is a really weird. I don't think we'd get this.
It's very interesting. But I really like it. Obviously, I still think the end goal will be Sami Zayn leaving the bloodline one way or the other.
Yeah.
Whether he gets kicked out, whether he walks out, whatever happens. But the little bits of story, I'm loving every time I see them on the screen, and I'm glued to it, thinking, right, what am I going to see this week? What little reactions, facial expressions, these little details that I'm absolutely loving from them at the moment. That was key here. And like I say, he had a good match with Madcap Moss, because Madcap Moss came out earlier, didn't he?
Yeah.
To make the save in another segment.
Yeah, he's another one who's match. Not doing a lot at the moment, but kind of just I don't mind your generic babyface to help out.
I don't mind a bit babyface being like used like this, where they're just kind of making the save and then having a match. Like
he's away from Corbin, he's doing his own stuff.
Yeah, he could do a feud, of course, but right now, at least he's doing something. There's a lot of people that aren't really doing anything on TV, so. Good use of Madcap Moss here and a good match. I really like him when he sort of fires up in a match. Like he starts off where like the heel is dominating, but then it's almost like he has a hot tag moment, and then he gets really going, and he's really good. Like he charges around the ring. I think he's got a lot to him, Madcap Moss. Maybe needs a little bit more character, but in terms of in ring, I think he's very good.
Yeah, I agree. Jordan, should move on to the tag team division next, probably the next place to go.
Yeah, so the main event here, it's probably, I know I was going to give, actually I'm going to give the Bloodline my top mark. The Bloodline and Sami Zayn top mark. But this ran it close in terms of things I enjoyed. I gave the Brawling Brutes and Imperium last week my man of the match in a 6-man tag. Man of the match.
Yeah.
Top mark in a 6-man tag team match. But here they had a fatal 4-way, both teams involved, along with Hit Row and the New Day.
Yeah.
And it was a banger of a match. And I was actually a little bit surprised by the outcome, which is nice.
I don't actually know who I was expecting to win. It's another one. But the teams made a bit more sense for like Brawling Brutes and Imperium. Hit Row. I guess
they made the changes here.
Doing,
obviously, we wondered why the New Day were in it, but it was because they did say on commentary that Eric got injured for the Viking Raiders. So
that's a blow, isn't it?
That's a blow for them because they were on a bit of a roll. And it was meant to be Alpha Academy and Street Profits, which again I didn't like them being in it. But Alpha Academy keep losing every week, and Street Profits are useless. We've seen it so many times. I didn't think we needed to see it again. So I was like, well, who wins that? So I was very pleased when they replaced those two teams with Brawling Brutes and Imperium. But I thought it was a massive.
They also had Los Lotharios in the original match as well.
Yeah, that was it. And they replaced by Hit Row. So
yeah.
And Hit Row have won a couple of matches and feel a little bit fresh. So that was interesting. And I thought Top Dollar was good in this match. He had a really good strength.
He is really good, isn't he?
Yeah. This was a banger. I mean, the New Day, we always say it, like even if you pulled their gimmick, guaranteed greatness in the ring. Xavier Woods was phenomenal in this match, I thought. At one point, he was absolutely excellent. And like we say, the Brutes and Imperium are always great as well. We got, again, so much, it was classic Pete Dunne, this match. Rather than the Butch style. They're still called Butch, but he's basically Pete Dunne now, isn't he?
Yeah, I think we'll see a name change at some point soon.
It wouldn't surprise me. And again, you got Sheamus and Gunther ringside just staring at each other whilst everyone was fighting. Love that. I feel like we're not done with that, and I could watch another one of them matches easily.
Oh yeah.
And in the end, it was Kofi Kingston that took the pin. Imperium double teamed him, but then Ridge threw him out of the way, threw one of them out of the way, and then pinned Kofi.
Yeah, I thought you praised a lot of people. I thought Ridge was really good here. Someone who doesn't get a lot of praise.
I'm going to give him credit because I'm not his biggest fan. I've always criticised him a little bit, and when I think of him, I just think of Big E's injury, which is really unfortunate because
that is an unfortunate one. Yeah,
it's just unfortunate. It's not, but I've never thought of him as that great in the ring. Like, I think it's in comparison to the two people he was with, who were like, well,
he's clearly the third.
But yeah, he did well here, and I thought he actually did well on the Raw match as well when we get to it, and the promo wasn't too bad either because he doesn't normally do a lot. Sheamus normally does the talking. that was interesting. When they were on Raw, Sheamus wasn't there, so it was a bit of like oh, okay, this is a bit strange moment, but I thought Ridge carried himself quite well, actually. Yeah,
no, definitely. And then before we move on to the women's division, there was a couple of other things from the men's side.
Yeah.
Strowman took out Maximum Male Models
I
now
love
for Academy.
I've got to say, the facial expressions of Mansoir and Marseille here
were brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant. And it's got to be mentioned, LA Knight promo, well, Max Dupree's promo.
Yeah.
He said not far from LA, and then he was like paused.
Yeah,
he's like, are you okay?
He's going back.
He's going this week. I reckon he's going to say LA and Knight. He said Knight last week, LA this week. Or he'll say in the old way. Like he's gonna keep teasing it, and then he's gonna turn. And I can't wait for the day that he turns, because I don't mind this gimmick. It's a bit of fun. It's a bit silly. You need these lower card comedy gimmicks, but LA Knight is above it. That's my problem with it.
Yeah,
I don't mind Mansoor and Marseille being in it. I think they're fine for what they are. Like they're not going to be. You're not expecting them to be world champion or even not intercontinental champion.
No.
LA Knight could be a mid card to top level guy, cutting serious promos on people. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the change. But yeah, I really enjoyed Strowman coming out and beating them up here.
Yeah, exactly. And his feuds clearly with Alpha Academy.
Yeah, I think Krusty Mate was right last week about sort of actually being more with Otis as well than Gable.
Yeah,
he's already faced Gable, but Otis got the better of him here. Well, they 2-1'd him, but Otis slammed him to the ground.
Yeah,
Braun did get up and they escaped, but I feel like we're heading to Strowman versus Otis, which is a match I never thought I'd be asking for, but it's actually quite a good idea. I think that's quite a good idea.
It's definitely intriguing. Definitely intriguing.
I think it's someone for Braun to beat who's a person of big size that also doesn't wrestle every week and lose. Like Gable loses all the matches.
Yeah,
so him wrestling Gable just feels inevitable, but him wrestling Otis does feel a little bit more legitimate. And I'm not expecting Otis to beat him, of course, but yeah, I quite like the idea of that actually for a first feud. Although they are a Raw team, so it's a bit weird of a cross-brand feud. But
yeah, again, I haven't heard any talks of it, but I'm surely there's going to be a draft at some point.
Well, yeah, it was rumored to be soon, but then apparently it's been put back. So
these Triple H is quite clearly not happy with the rosters as they are because he keeps moving people here and there. Maybe he doesn't want a brand split. Maybe that's going to be his future. I think he
wants a brand split, but to use certain people can sort of are big enough to be able to cross over to both brands. Like he's used the Street Profits a little bit on both brands, because like if he's not using them on Raw, then he can use them on SmackDown. I think he will, because they deserve to be on TV. I think he's doing stuff like that a little bit.
And maybe it almost feel like tag teams may be exempt from a brand split because of the titles being on both brands. Because we've seen the Prophecy and Alpha Academy go back and forth. I just feel like maybe the
especially obviously with the women as well, the tag titles go both brands, so you can have the challengers and the champions maybe coming across. So I think that is probably a big part of it. Yeah,
definitely. And then the other bit on the men's side, we got Drew come out, stand on the announce desk and call out Karrion Kross. So I assume they're going to go at it at Extreme Rules. It's probably going to be where we go here.
Yeah, we're going to get that.
Is there any new thoughts on this? Well, I think we've kind of
not really.
Not really development this week. Was
it's not it? No, both of them cut short promos.
We did it from Cross did it way as well. Yeah. Doomsday is coming, as he always says.
It'll be interesting because we'll get to what we saw on Raw, but we don't know if it's going to be related to Cross yet. On SmackDown this week, the QR code, the White Rabbit stuff. That will be something that could be something related to Cross. We don't know, but. I'm hoping it's not, because I want it to be Bray Wyatt, but my gut feeling is it might be.
Yeah, well, it's probably worth covering that now because it's not really a Raw.
No, it's happening tomorrow on SmackDown.
Yeah, so we've seen. Well, I say we've seen online. We've seen there be like bits from house shows where they've dimmed the lights, put red light on the ring, and played
this song,
White Rabbit, which I didn't really know of the song until they said.
It's quite an old song, I believe.
Yeah, then they had someone who had like a lanyard and looked like someone official walk around with a QR code during a match on Raw.
Yeah, behind Austin Theory's head it was when he was.
Yeah, I think he came out twice in the night, this guy. And both times the QR code take you to the same, which is a video of like a Hangman game. And it spells out who killed the world, you did. Which...
Yes. And it is in Bray Wyatt style font.
Yeah, the font feels Bray Wyatt.
The quote as well is there was something from 2015 people were bringing up.
Yeah, but this was similar. Original Bray Wyatt. This was cult leader.
Not Fiend. And so is, if you look at I don't know if that was actually legit, but Krusty showed us it the other day with the lantern and the thing. That felt like old Bray Wyatt as well. So I feel like if he comes back, it's not the Fiend. And I don't think I want it to be the Fiend. I love the Fiend character, but it gets booked into a corner because it should be an unstoppable machine. And if it's not, then it just doesn't work. So I want a new Bray Wyatt character anyway. Or the old one, cult leader. So I'm hoping it's that. That's based on what we've seen.
But we mentioned. I think you mentioned the date is for tomorrow.
Yeah,
so SmackDown tomorrow. Like that is interesting. Although a Bray Wyatt type character, I would have put him on Raw, not SmackDown, just because you've got Karrion Kross on SmackDown. You've got Roman Reigns, Walter, so many dominant.
Do you think there could be a link to Braun Strowman though? Because he's feuding with a tag team. He's beat up all the tag division. He's been feuding with a tag team. And I think if you're putting them on SmackDown, you could have Bray. I know we just said we don't want the Wyatt family back, and I don't think it should be the Wyatt family, but I wouldn't be against an alliance between Bray and Braun.
Yeah, it's not the worst idea.
And Braun being his, just his...
That would have been something I would have thought about, but I think... since the passing of Brody Lee, whether the Wyatt family would reform in any kind of way.
Yeah.
Without
they
him.
said they wouldn't. So
yeah, that's what kind of put me off it. But maybe, that would have been what I'd have advocated for initially. So
we talk about what the other option is then. So because the other option, obviously, Karrion Kross is already on SmackDown, which makes me think that's why there's a big chance it could be to do with Karrion Kross.
Yeah, or could you even have Bray do something with Karrion, then be linked somehow?
Yeah, that could be linked as well. They could be, it could be for both of them. That would be weird. Because Karrion Kross has got a bit of an old school Bray Wyatt vibe about him sometimes in some of his promos.
Well, that's why I think Bray on SmackDown feels a bit like Karrion Kross is kind of doing that gimmick on SmackDown.
Then again, Braun
gimmick.
debuted on Raw and then he was on SmackDown, so they could put him on SmackDown on Friday and then he could be on Raw as well on Monday. We don't know.
Well, and also whether he comes back heel or face, we don't know. He's going to get a big reaction, so they probably have to bring him back as a face. They probably haven't got a choice because of the reaction.
I think so.
But who does he go? Well,
that's why I thought the links to Strowman, because Strowman's
who's he going to go after? Who's Bray Wyatt's returning? Who's he going after? And on SmackDown, who is? But there's no one that seems obvious who's going to go after. So it just feels.
And that's why I think the other option, which is obviously, so Karrion Kross was in Lucha Underground, and I think it was his faction that was called.
Yes, actually, this was you that said this to me, yeah.
So, and he was in a faction called White Rabbit with Paul London, who was in WWE a few years ago, and another guy. So it could be that they're bringing in them as backup for Kross, because Triple H did recently say in an interview, we are looking at bringing in people that you wouldn't expect as well, because everyone's talking about Bray Wyatt, Sasha Banks, was talking about Braun Strowman, Johnny Gargano, because they're obvious. They're former WWE people that should never have left. But him bringing Paul London back out of nowhere, that's something you wouldn't expect. So bringing in fresh new people would be very interesting. I'm just sort of looking up Paul London and the White Rabbit stuff now, and it's quite interesting.
Well, that the fact his faction was called White Rabbit, and this whole is quite clearly White Rabbit related. White Rabbit in itself, doesn't have a massive link to Bray, does it, other than the song? But I guess that's enough.
Yeah, so I was just looking at it. They were called the Rabbit Tribe, and the leader was called the White Rabbit, which was at Karrion Kross. So it's very interesting. It's so cool. It could be like a massive coincidence.
Yeah,
but it seems a bit too much of a coincidence for me.
Yeah, put it this way, I'm very intrigued about SmackDown tomorrow night. Yeah. Very intrigued to see what we get, because
same here. It's very interesting.
Either way, whether it's a Karrion Kross faction or Bray Wyatt, I'll be excited. I think I'd prefer Bray Wyatt.
Obviously, I've wanted to see Bray Wyatt back since he's gone, but
I have seen
also something different and some new people, not just return. Some new people would be interesting.
Yeah, I've seen some like funny stuff of like Adam Rose in his rabbit costume.
Oh yeah,
it's not gonna be Adam Rose.
I've seen some people say, imagine if it's Bad Bunny. Like that'd be hilarious. It's not going to be anybody like that. But yeah, I mean, he was in WWE originally in 2000, from 2003 to 2000.
Yeah, the name rings a bell. I don't think I could place his face.
He teamed with Brian Kendrick. He was in the cruiserweight division. He was cruiserweight champion. So yeah, it was. I mean, this is 20 years ago when they were talking. 15 years ago that he left. So if he came back, that would be really out of left field.
Yeah, no one would have called Paul London.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what that would be all about. But let's move on to the women's division.
Yes,
we talked about SmackDown for quite a while.
We should. Damage Control were here as tag champs, and we had a singles match, Bayley and Raquel, in which Bayley won, but with help from Io Sky.
Yeah,
and then we got like a surprising save from Shotzi at the end here.
Yeah, so they're repackaging Shotzi. I've heard they're bringing the tank back. She hasn't had it yet.
Yep, that feels like sense.
That does feel like a babyface thing. Like that people love that tank. So I think Shotzi coming out and turning face here. Although it felt a bit random because obviously Raquel's partner is Aaliyah, and Aaliyah's obviously injured, whether it's real life or storyline, I'm not sure. But Shotzi coming out making the save. So I'm guessing we're going to get Shotzi now teaming with Raquel for a bit.
Yeah, and I don't mind that for Shotzi. It's just I feel a bit of a shame because I feel like there was real potential with Shotzi heel. I think we were doing the pod when she turned heel and she turned on Sasha Banks and I like cut a great promo the next week, and I thought this is Shotzi's like push to the top of the division. They are pushing.
It just never happened though, did it?
But I thought she, did quite well. I don't think she kind of flubbed the opportunity, but they never went with it.
No. I think this is the right time to turn her face because
I guess
floundering a little bit.
They're not using her, so get her involved here.
The match was decent enough, wasn't it? But it was kind of predictable what it was going to be. You're not going to have Bayley lose because she's challenging Belair. So yeah, and she didn't win clean either because you don't want Raquel to lose really either. So yeah.
And then the other thing on this SmackDown, we got Liv Morgan backstage with Ronda Rousey. Asked the I think it's Kayla Braxton to leave, and then basically challenge her to a match at Extreme Rules, but an Extreme Rules match between the two. So, setting up for, a match where you probably wouldn't want to face Ronda Rousey, and Liv's trying to prove herself.
Yeah, she's got this thing at the moment where she's just trying to make people believe that she can beat Ronda Rousey, make herself believe, I think, as well. Which is fine. I'm not sure what's going to happen at Extreme Rules, but it's interesting. I mean, I'm not that bothered about this match happening again because it's the third one. But
no, they've got to build it, and I think they need to get Shayna Baszler involved somehow.
Surely here because she's been teasing it in
with or against Ronda. Because we didn't really see Shayna this week, but they've Ronda's had said to her about getting back to being a ruthless side. So I think you can go either way with Shayna, but yeah. Let's see how they build it up before then.
Let's move on to Raw.
We had some blimmin' good matches on Raw this week.
Yeah.
That's my first note. Probably should start with the opener because we had the United States title match to open.
Yeah. And I love it when Raw as well opens with a match because it's so rare. SmackDown has done sometimes, but Raw never opens with just a match. You normally get a promo, lead into something, setting up the main event. But yeah, you just had Rollins come out first here. To a massive pop, and then Lashley come out, and it just had a big match feel like straight away. Let's get going. This is it. And yeah, they had a really, really good match. And Lashley he's almost doing like the open challenge gimmick. He's not officially saying it's an open challenge gimmick, but he's not in feuds, but he's just wrestling great United States title matches on TV.
Some, like insanely good matches.
Miz, I feel like we've talked about it before, but like the last year and a half of his career has been the best run of his career, in my opinion. And he's like, he's 46 or something now, but he's like, I feel like this is his prime. And he had another really good match here with Rollins. As you expect, I mean, everyone has a good match with Rollins, to be fair.
Yeah. But there's a spot in this match where Rollins went for his curb stomp and Lashley just held it out. Yeah, just held his ground.
Innovative stuff. Yeah, that was
never
cool.
Seen that. We've seen quite a lot of like innovative reversals to the curb stomp. obviously RKO being the obvious one, but there's been a few now. So for him to find something different was really cool, I thought.
Yeah. We had like a spear into a pedigree in this match, which was near full.
I think we've seen that before, haven't we?
Yeah, we have seen that. But yeah, it was because Steph's actually been winning with that recently as well. So it made me actually believe that he could win with it as well. Yeah, that was good. And then obviously you had the ref bump of the hurt lock in, rolling into the ref.
Yeah.
Low blow. And then Riddle's about to hit the stomp. And then predictably, I mean, I called it last week. This is how you're going to get Rollins to accept Extreme Rules, because he was like, I don't want any part of Riddle. Riddle's going to cost him the match, and that's going to annoy him enough to finally accept it. So Riddle costs him the match here. Lashley hits the spear. Lashley retains, which is, I think, is the right decision. I don't mind. I know we want Seth to have a title. We haven't had one in a long time, but I want it to be, if he's going to win one, it should be the split title with the WWE Championship or something.
Yeah.
I don't really see the point in him winning the United States title off of Lashley. Because then you'd have to have Rollins v Riddle for the United States title, which I don't think needs it.
Yeah, no. And
it kind of makes it obvious as well. Then Rollins would win. So like it kind of, I think this is the right way to go.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think at the moment there's no real reason to take it off.
No, until he's in a proper feud with someone, don't have him lose. Don't just have him lose it randomly. Keep beating people, and then suddenly someone attacks him. Gets really, it gets really bitter between the two or something. And then
there's just no obvious way meant to beat him, because you look at the caliber of people he's beaten. It's hard to know who could beat him now. Like now he's beaten AJ, Seth. He's beaten Theory, beaten The Miz. He's kind of beat all the top
most
guys on Raw.
Yeah.
So there's not many left for him, but just keep having great matches. Essentially, don't need to worry about who's going to beat him. I give him keep it on him for a while.
Yeah.
What else did we get?
Well, we then got Damage Control arrive in a limo, which was
interesting.
Quite cool. Made them feel big, and then they come down to them in some sort of quad bikes thing or something as well.
Yeah.
Then they cut a promo, and what I noticed about their promo compared to previous times was Dakota was talking a lot. And she seems like she's really found her groove, talking very confidently, talking more and more each promo. Spoke more than Bailey here, pretty much. Then we got the face-off with Belair, and then Asuka, and then Alexa. And then there was some good stuff between Alexa and Bailey, because obviously they've got a lot of history.
They do, yeah.
That one of the worst promos segments in Raw history, the This Is Your Life promo segment, was Alexa Bliss and Bailey. And last time, obviously, it was Goddess heel Alexa and Babyface Bailey.
Yeah, I remember they had a feud. I think actually an Extreme Rules feud where basically the story was
to stick on a pole, wasn't it?
Yeah, Bailey was too nice to go extreme.
They had a terrible feud, but they've had a lot of history, and they played on that a little bit here. And then obviously that set up the main event for the night as well, which again, women main eventing. It was the only women's match on the show, but it's the main event, so it's fine, and it was given time. So you might as well get to that match itself.
Yeah, it is a really good match, wasn't it? To the main event. I mean, again, Alexa Bliss has felt a little bit directionless.
Yeah, and even she's saying that herself.
For a while, but I thought she looked really good here. She always looks good in. She's just so good in ring. She's good at everything she does. Alexa Bliss, let's be real.
Yeah,
she's great.
She doesn't have many one-on-one matches either, and so it's nice to see her having like a proper one-on-one.
Yeah, and it's like especially with these 6 women involved, the 6. If you just take these 6 people on paper as single stars, it is like 6 of the top stars they've got. So the matchups they can have, like we haven't seen Io Sky v Asuka yet. That would be great. We haven't seen.
Yeah, they're deliberately keeping that one away from us, I think.
Alexa v Dakota or Bailey v. Well, I haven't seen Bailey v Belair yet either. That's coming, but which I think was how we ended the match, shouldn't we? We had Bailey got the win.
And then there was an awesome beatdown angle afterwards.
Finally heating up this.
They all get in the ring, and obviously it was a ref distraction. Io pushes Bliss, and then she hit the rose plant. Beatdown afterwards, and then there was a cool thing where they pushed Io onto the rope, and she did a moonsault.
Yeah, that was
then
cool.
She did another rose plant on Belair, and basically said, "I'll fight you at Extreme Rules." To set up that match officially, which we knew was going to happen. But yeah, really. The
Extreme
damage,
Rules card is looking good.
Raw going off the air with damage control with 2 belts and Bailey standing tall.
Yep.
They feel like a big deal.
They are definitely feel like a big deal.
And I love that.
We also got during this match, to go back on previous conversations we've had, the lights went out during this match for a brief, kind of flickered off and on.
Yeah.
And obviously Alexa Bliss has Bray Wyatt connections.
Mm-hmm.
There could be a link there. Could, who knows? And that was obviously, this is the same show as we got the QR code with the, as we talked about the White Rabbit. And also, I don't think we mentioned it earlier on, but Seth and Riddle, off the back of that interruption, they have match at Extreme Rules. But not only is it a match, they've got a fight pit match.
Yes, so that was the other thing we were going to say when we were talking about War Games. We were meant to say, not only has he brought NXT War Games from the main roster, but Fight Pit, which was sort of Timothy Thatcher's thing originally in NXT. So then he had a match with Riddle, didn't he? Yeah,
so Thatcher has had 2. I think there's only been 2 ever. Thatcher and Ciampa and Thatcher and Riddle, I think.
Yes, so it was Thatcher's thing, but I think they've now passed it on to make it Riddle's thing, which makes sense because
they are brutal,
UFC
brutal matches.
And I'm glad that's going to be so cool to see that Extreme Rules. I think that's really cool.
And it's just a nice little variation on Hell in a Cell steel cage type thing. It's it's really, really cool. And I think there'll be a lot of people who haven't seen, because, not everyone would have watched NXT that watches Raw and SmackDown. So there's going to be a lot of people this is new to. I think this is going to be intriguing. I wonder how often we'll see this. I don't think this will be a regular occurrence. Well,
I think it'll be safe for stuff like Extreme Rules.
Yeah, maybe because like I say, we've had 2 matches ever.
But the good thing about putting on Extreme Rules is Extreme Rules sometimes it's like, okay, you might have 2 Extreme Rules matches. You might have shares match. They're all kind of the same. They're all kind of, so this offers an extreme style match that's a little bit different. It's not Hell in a Cell. It's not.
This match is going to be insane as well.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be brilliant.
So we've seen Seth win the first one.
Yes.
We predicted early predictions. So we predicted Riddle to win
with the stipulation of it being a fight pit. I would think so.
And then go to a third match as Seth does.
Yeah, I mean, all his views seem to go.
I think
I'm just going to quickly adjust my lighting. Hang on 1 second.
Sure. I will move on to a next segment, and I will then pass over to Fisher, as we also on the show we had Miz TV. I've just moved on to Miz TV, Fisher.
Yep.
We had announced Miz was going to invite Dexter Lumis onto the show. And then he gets all brave, calls out Dexter Lumis, and then you just see from the middle of the ring this saw going around, or a knife or something, come out of the ring, and in a cane spot, Lumis appears from under the ring, tries to pull both Miz and Ciampa down, but
Ciampa saves him, and I like Ciampa being the one as well to hit him. I was worried. When I saw him trying to drag Ciampa, I was like, don't drag Ciampa under the ring and make Ciampa look like an idiot. But Ciampa hit him over the head, and I was like, okay, no, Triple H isn't going to make Ciampa look like an idiot, is he? No. And then obviously they got away in the end. This stuff's all right. I mean, I don't know what the end goal is really. I guess a match in Extreme Rules.
I feel like this has to be an
weird
Extreme
stipulation.
Rules. With Dexter Lumis being the way he is, it has to be an Extreme Rules match, I think.
Yeah, some weird stipulation, I reckon.
Yeah, it'll be a weird one. I don't
not
really
just
know
a straightforward Extreme. It's like when Miz had the Zombies match a couple of years ago.
Yeah, hopefully we don't see any zombies.
Not it won't be that, but it's
the Miz at the end.
It's giving me similar vibes in a way.
Yeah, no, I do get that. Yeah, it is.
So yeah, that's.
Yeah, that was interesting.
That was okay. It was okay. I preferred it, I think, to the segment from last week, which I was a bit critical of. Yeah,
this Loomis stuff is odd, and I think I like it. I think I said last week I enjoyed it. This week I wasn't as keen on this. I'm a bit unsure of this. I don't think the payout's good enough for this much effort and time on it, but we'll see. Maybe they'll surprise us.
Maybe.
We've already mentioned the Brawling Brutes. It was some week for them as they cut a promo on Raw here. Nice to see Ridge and Pete Dunne even speak a little bit.
Because Sheamus normally talks for them.
Yep. And then the Profits came down to the ring. We got then the Brawling Brutes be the Street Profits. And and maybe a surprising result, maybe not because they're number one contenders.
No, I was going to say this is the right move because
no, it is the right move.
You have to have.
It's a clean win.
Yeah,
the Brawling Brutes against Street Profits, which is a pretty big.
Brawling Brutes are looking great at the moment. The push they're getting.
They are. I think the title match is tomorrow, isn't it? It's this
off the back of Sheamus and his massive sort of reaction, he got a Clash of the Castle, and obviously a fantastic match. Yeah. I feel like they're right. Let's push this group even more than we are. Not just Sheamus, the rest of them too. I don't think they're going to win the tag titles on Friday at all, but the only way they could is something bigger.
The only way they could is if they're doing like with Sammy and Jay and Sammy costs Jay or something. That's the only thing I can see, but I think the Usos are better with the belts. But
yeah, the Usos always seem to come together and win when the titles are on the line.
Yeah,
they always do. So yeah, I'm not really expecting anything else, but it's cool to see them, and I like the justification because at first I was like, okay, why are they on Raw? And then he said, we're here because this is going to be our new home. When we win the tag titles, we'll be Raw champions. I was like, okay.
Makes sense. That made sense.
Fair enough. It does make sense because normally I was like, huh, why? But yeah, that it did actually make sense that they were coming to Raw. So I didn't mind that at all.
Yeah, we got some more stuff from the Judgment Day as well on the show. More interesting, I say developments, not really much developed, but the Rhea Ripley, Dominic Mysterio.
Wow, they dynamic, got mega heat.
Dynamic is insane. Yeah, Dominic. I handled himself quite well considering he always gets
the heat he got. I wasn't expecting Judgment Day have been getting quite quiet reactions sometimes when it's not been Edge in the ring with them and stuff.
Yeah,
because obviously Edge is your mega star of this sort of feud. Ray's obviously a big star as well, but when it's just them talking, sometimes the crowd seems a bit like disinterested. But here, my God, they wouldn't let Dominic speak. They were getting mega heat, and I think great.
This Dominic being added to it has really elevated him. And I know it sounds mad to say Dominic Mysterio has elevated this group, but he has. And I just
it's made them more hated, like genuinely, rather than.
And I just love the Rhea Dominic dynamic. I'm glued to every time those two on the screen together. They're just.
It's really good. I really like it.
Yeah, we got a tag team match. A team of Rey Mysterio and Matt Riddle. Obviously, Riddle got slightly involved with this last week. He
turned him down, didn't he?
Priest faced Priest, I think, or Balor. I can't remember which one
he's facing Priest next week.
Next week, yeah. And yeah, we got a Judgment Day victory with Rollins came down as well.
Yeah, so this is where the Fight Pit match officially got made after this because Rollins got involved here, and then they had to be separated backstage, and then we got that. So yeah, it was quite chaotic this match because you had Judgment Day on the outside, then you had Rollins. It was quite chaotic.
And we got Ray took the steel chair off of Rollins, and then Dominic got to his knees and begged his dad to hit him. Obviously he didn't, and then Balor got the win of it.
Yeah, we're building to that sort of Ray Dom bit where Ray finally realizes that he's actually got to stop him.
Yeah.
And then we get Ray v Dom. They're going to drag that out for a while, I reckon.
I'm
not sure how long, but I think you can drag it out for a little bit longer. And then have Dom v Ray as a big match down the line. WrestleMania, I know you mentioned WrestleMania, might be a little bit hard to drag it out that far, but if they can, that would be a hell of a match to do.
I think it only works if you do a story where you write Ray off TV for a bit.
Yeah.
With them on TV every week, it's too long.
It's too long.
But if you have Dominic literally injure his dad for a few months, that will be enough reason for his dad to come back and be pissed off. So
you could have him return at the Rumble, eliminate him from the Rumble, set him up at WrestleMania, something like that. Easy done.
And we also got a little backstage thing with Balor and AJ Styles. It's an AJ for a couple of weeks.
So last week I was like, why is AJ not on TV? But we're starting to tease an AJ Finn feud, which I mean, who doesn't want that?
But obviously Finn referring back to the club with his too sweet gesture.
Yeah, and saying that the door's always open. AJ said he's still friends with Finn, but has absolutely no interest in.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Balor as well was like, I'll always I won't turn on you, sort of thing. So it's interesting that they've. But what I like is they're just involving people in different bits. So like Judgment Day have got the Mysterio Edge thing, then they've got a little bit of thing with Riddle, then they've got this little AJ thing to the side. Judgment Day, from when we saw them a few months back when they were on main event and not doing anything on TV, to now they kind of feel like a real big deal on Raw.
And this is a bit of a segue as well, but we've also, the multiple feud thing with that as well also reminds me of what Theory's been doing, because Theory was feuding with Ziggler, he was feuding with Roman and Brock, teasing to cash in a while ago, then Gargano, and now Owens. So, and he's still feuding with Gargano and Owens at the same time, really here. So, we got Theory versus KO again. They had another really good match. KO he's just amazing. Really good match, and then ended up being a Theory win with the pop-up, not Theory win, sorry, KO win with the pop-up powerbomb, but it wasn't as straightforward this time. There was a bit shenanigans involved with Theory going to use the briefcase.
Yeah,
goes to get it. Johnny Gargano has it, and he then drops it on his balls afterwards. But
and during the match, Kevin Owens said, "I'm your daddy now." During the match, shouted at him.
Yes,
it's quite funny.
And then off the back of that, we got a little promo segment with Alpha Academy.
So we've got a match next week, haven't we, on Raw? Gargano and Owens. It used to be a tag
Panda
team.
Express.
Yeah, I didn't know this until recently.
I didn't know this either.
But it's quite
they
cool.
were a tag team years ago. They are tagging against that.
Yeah, I mean, do you think this means anything, or is this just like a one-off kind of? Because Owens is meant. So I think we all thought we were going to head towards Owens and Zayn as a tag team.
I think Owens splinters off from this after. I think we're still going to get Gargano and Theory still the end goal here, surely. They're the ones that are feuding, maybe over the briefcase. Then you move Owens on. You're delaying, I think, until the Sami Zayn time is right. Then you do the Sami Zayn thing, hopefully.
Yeah, I think
he goes for Roman. Like, he could just go straight for Roman.
He could. I like the chemistry between Gargano and Owens. They like, you can tell they get on really well, and
and obviously there's a history as well from Owens being in NXT and joining the War Games match that Gargano was in. So there's stuff, even WWE history there. So I like that as well. So that was good. That was all good. And Raw was just a solid, interesting show. No sort of big debuts or anything this week, but just.
Well, do you know what's the best thing about Raw, SmackDown, and NXT at the moment is, I think, I'll speak for myself. I think I speak for all three of us at Recharge. Just so invested in a lot of the storylines, like everything, the Bloodline, Judgment Day, Imperium, Brawling Brutes, Kevin Owens,
SmackDown in
Damage Control
has gone from like.
Yeah, I'm just interested in all of their storylines.
I think Raw's really good. But Raw was doing. I think Raw was okay, and even towards the end of the Vince thing, I think Raw was.
I agree. Yeah,
was all right. But SmackDown was really struggling, and I think SmackDown now, with what they're doing with Imperium, like you said, the Brawling Brutes, the Bloodline, even bringing in the likes of Hit Row to add something a bit different, have made SmackDown a much better show. Much better show. Still, I think the women's division still needs to work on SmackDown. I will say that.
It does.
But other than that, I think it's pretty much spot on. The Raw Women's division I really like, with Damage Control sort of being all over it. The title needs to feel a little bit more important. I know Krusty said it last week about.
I think this was the first step, though, with what we saw at the end of Raw.
Bayley v Belair is a big match, so I feel it's
probably as big as they can give us at the moment.
Plus, they did do Sonya Deville versus Belair for the title last week, so they are sort of using Belair as a singles person as well now, which is good.
Yeah. Should we move on to NXT?
Yeah, let's move on to NXT.
So let's talk about the start of the show, because this was not what I expected to happen at the start of this show.
Yes, and I mean, we talked about it briefly with the SmackDown thing earlier.
Yeah, I didn't know what they were going to do with the North American title, but Solo Sikoa was forced to relinquish it by Shawn Michaels, who, for the first time ever, appeared as an on-screen authority figure in NXT. Never seen that.
I mean,
before.
he had the little video package thing last week where he was
talking. I'd be happy with him just as the GM of NXT.
He pretty much is now, because he also, like, when he was talking about when Toxic Attraction were entered into the SmackDown into the tag team tournament, he was like on Twitter saying, "I've entered them as the NXT representative." Like, he's basically the GM for thing, but he's just not on screen like Regal is.
Yeah, no, I've always got a soft spot in my heart for Shawn Michaels, so happy to see him on TV again. But Solo forced to relinquish it because he was not a and
this is where I say it doesn't make sense.
He wasn't in the match, and
why did he wait?
He's a main event star now, and
let him defend it on SmackDown. That didn't make any sense to me. If they'd have done it, if they hadn't have done that on SmackDown, if they'd have said, I don't know, say just Solo was walking around with it,
but
he didn't have a match, didn't even like mention it, And then they'd have been like, yeah, it's come to my attention that we got to do this. Then I don't know. I guess I get why they wanted to take the title off him if he's going to be on the main roster. But there's other options they could have done. They could have not put the title on in the first place. I thought the reason they did it was to get even more gold in the bloodline, have them walk around with all the titles. Now they haven't got that. Feels a bit odd.
And do you know what confused me here is, so the outcome of this is they're doing a 5-man ladder match.
Yeah.
At
Halloween Havoc.
Halloween Havoc, thank you. I knew it was something like that. I was about to say Vengeance Day, and it's one of those. So yeah, we've got a ladder match, which is what North American title. That's how it was introduced. It's kind of like it's kind of legacy, so it makes sense. But why couldn't you've just had Solo Sikoa in that match?
Well, I was going to say that the second option is you have him win the title, but then you keep him
because he can still walk around the bloodline until then, and then lose
and
it.
You can say, look, you weren't supposed to be in that match, so you're going to have to defend it. You're going to defend it in the ladder match. You and Carmelo can be in it, and we're going to have 3 other people in it, or whatever it is.
It makes complete sense, especially who knows who ever qualified.
He wouldn't have to be. He wouldn't even have to be on NXT every week until.
No,
you could literally ever appear maybe one other time.
Carmelo's going to cut promo saying he's the real champ, he's the champ,
and then maybe on the go home show you can have Solo appear and be like, or whatever, talk to all of the people that are involved once the qualifiers are over.
Yeah,
you don't need to have him on TV every week with it if that was the concern. So I'm a bit confused why they did all this.
When they said they were going to do a ladder match, I was like, well, that's your out for Solo Sikoa to lose the belt without being pinned. That's an easy out for you. So that would have made sense for them to get it off him. But so they've decided to do what they did. So Carmelo is in there automatically. Obviously, he thought he was just going to get the belt back. It's not as simple as that. We got our first qualifier on the show. Grayson Waller v. Oro Mensah
on his debut.
Oliver Carter. Really good match. And what did you make of Oro Mensah?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen bits and pieces of him on NXT UK, but I'm not seeing him much as like a singles star, I guess.
I don't think he was ever a single star in NXT.
No, so
he was always Ashton Smith.
And he got a bit of an intro earlier on and with an interview as well. So they made him feel fairly important here, and he won. He looked good. He won with a sort of spinning heel kick, which again, his first match he wins, and he's in the title match. Quite a big deal. Obviously, he was helped a little bit by Apollo Crews with a bleeding eye, which was a bit weird.
I don't really get where the bleeding eye comes from.
Strange.
Because I think Grayson Waller poked his eye the other week.
I think it's about time actually we talk about Apollo Crews' run in NXT so far. It's been a bit weird.
It has. He hasn't done anything.
No.
He hasn't done much. He hasn't done anything at all. His first feud's also with Grayson Waller. And I was actually gonna off back of this say we need to talk about Grayson Waller recently because he went from being like the biggest thing in NXT to feuding with AJ Styles, appearing on Raw, being everywhere.
When he took out Gargano and stuff.
To now he just feels like just an extra guy.
Generic heel.
Yeah. So he's really got off the boil, and maybe hopefully this feud can
maybe, but I just don't feel that interested in it at the moment.
And it makes sense as that Grayson Waller losing this because he's going for a match with Apollo Crews. But I mean, Oro Mensah is a good example. Yeah, he's not going to win the North American title. I feel pretty confident in saying that. He'll probably give you some high flying stuff.
Yeah, he's a good person to put in a ladder match.
But Solo Sikoa, I'll see who else qualifies, but I can guarantee you I'll be able to find at least one person.
I've got a prediction for who wins this match already.
You could take out Solo. Oh, really? Who's your prediction?
Wesley.
That makes sense.
Because he was meant to be in the match and beat Carmelo. He had a little promo on the show saying he could have got a bye automatically into it, but he wants to.
So he's facing Tony D'Angelo.
Right? He's facing Tony D'Angelo next week. I think he wins that, and I think he'll probably win the title.
Yep, you might be right there. Actually, yeah, that's probably.
I mean, I don't want to predict it.
The early shout, yeah.
But I think that makes the most sense. I don't think you need to put the title back on Carmelo. It's not going to be Oro Mensah. I don't know who else is going to be in the match. It's going to be 2 other people, but I just think it will be Wesley. I think the whole storyline's been set up for him to win.
Yeah, probably. I wonder, and we might as well move on to this match now. I wonder whether they'll make the last match between Nathan Fraser and Axiom a qualifier because they're now 1-for-1, best of 3.
I like that idea.
I think they just make this one a qualifier because it's hard to see.
And again, 2 people that'd be great in a ladder match. So
yeah, they'd both be amazing. This match, I mean, again, these 2 are so well matched because they're both just so quick and. Again, I think I praised this match last week or the week before, whenever it was. I'm going to praise it again. It's just so good. I'm looking forward to a third one. I'm not bored of these 2.
No, the only problem with this match, this one particularly, was obviously Fraser was going to win because you're going to get the third match. But
very predictable this one.
But I don't mind that. The crowd didn't care; they were really into it. We got lots of high flying spots as you'd expect, and Fraser won, and it was good.
Do you have a preference here? Like, if you had to push one of these two in NXT, who would you push?
Fraser, I think.
I agree. Fraser's the one for me. I feel he's got a bit more about him than Axiom.
I don't think either of them have got great characters yet at all.
Yeah.
But I think there's something in Fraser. I just think he's a bit of a special talent in terms of his in-ring.
Yeah.
That I would push him higher. I think Axiom's good, but I just don't know.
And I think as well, I think this third match is going to be insane because I think they're just going to, like, I'm not saying they've not gone for it yet, but I feel like it's going to be like as the most fast-paced match you've ever seen. I think these guys are just going to be flying around the ring, doing all sorts. I think it's going to be insane match. I think you could even main event an NXT with this third match, especially if it's a qualifier. Put some stakes on it. It's quite a nice, easy main event. You don't have to worry too much about booking anything too big. But yeah, really enjoyed this match. Wasn't the best match on the show though, because I can get into my top mark.
Yeah, if you want to talk about the main event now.
The main event, we had number one contenders match.
I love the after bit.
Yes, well, exactly. That's the top mark isn't just the match, although the match itself was top mark worthy. So when this was announced, JD McDonough and Tyler Bate, we knew we were going to be in for a banger.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've sure I've said it on the pod before, but I know I've said it to you and Krusty for years now. Tyler Bate is one of my favorite wrestlers. I just love watching him. He's so good.
He's amazing.
He's also a bit unique in the way he wrestles. I just don't see anyone like him. Like, especially that thing he does off the ropes where he bounces off his shoulders off the ropes.
I love his airplane spins. I love just his pace and everything that he has.
He's not tall. He's just got insane strength. He's almost like a Cesaro type, isn't he? I guess Tyler Bate. He's just so good. And JD McDonough as well. I know again.
He
Krusty's a big favorite.
Showed some big stuff in there, like a 450. I think it was a 450.
We had some Spanish flies. We had all sorts going on.
Spanish flies. Lovely moonsault to the outside by JD as well. He was showing his high flying side more in this match than he has in I think previous ones on the main NXT. He's been more about the character, more about the sort of psychotic side. But here he was I'm just going to go all out and have a bang with Tyler Bate.
Just insanely good.
I feel like they have great chemistry as well because obviously they know each other very well from NXT UK.
From NXT UK. And just going to show you the talent on NXT UK. A lot of people weren't watching it.
The people that have come through there, if you look at it over the year, even going back to Rhea Ripley, just insane, man.
I know.
Honestly, so good.
Talent is mad. And it didn't end because we saw another NXT UK talent who we've seen on NXT at a takeover before. So the US audience have seen Ilya Dragunov before, but he then appears at the end. And it looks like we're heading for a triple threat. Dragunov is potentially the biggest side of NXT. I think he's potentially number one.
I think he should probably win the title as well.
I would have him win the belt, Dragunov is insanely good. We've been big on Walter or Gunter for his whole time. And Dragunov is the only one I think that compares to Gunter in terms of every match is 9.5 out of 10. Every match without fail.
I thought he was injured for longer, so it was a nice surprise to see him.
Yeah, and also I wonder whether we'll see what happens in the next few weeks. But one of the way Jordan Devlin, JD McDonough left NXT UK was he had a title match with Dragunov.
Yeah, because his face
and basically
was
whoever lost the match left NXT UK, and that's when JD McDonough come up. Yeah, when Dragunov beat him. So I hope they're going to play on that to be I thought I got rid of you sort of thing, and I hope that comes up again. But again, interesting to see, the number one contenders match and then Dragunov afterwards.
Well, it's interesting.
NXT UK guys.
Match, as good as it was, I was both of these guys have faced Bron recently, so it's not that interesting.
Yeah.
But you have JD win. I was okay, JD beat Bron again. But then you add Ilya into it, and suddenly you've got the Ilya, just Ilya being Ilya, but you've also got the Ilya JD history there.
Yeah.
As well. And then Ilya Willie, come in and beat Bron. So it really adds an extra dimension to it. I think that's going to be a great match.
I mean, Dragunov, as soon as NXT UK disbanded, you just knew Dragunov was never going to not be
I just thought he would be out for a little bit longer than this because obviously he
it's a bad injury, wasn't he?
Yeah, he had to give up the title because of it. So I thought he'd be out for longer, but I'm pleased to see him back.
Yeah, and I just think that so that's why it's top mark. The match itself was top mark worthy, but Dragunov included. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. A worthy top mark. Talking of NXT UK people.
Yep.
A little bit of a speculative thing, this one, but did you notice the woman walking around with the masked hoodie thing on the ramp?
I did not know.
So we've seen in backstage segments, there's been someone with their back, with their hood up, walking around. And backstage segments the last few weeks, they went over and got a thing from the Schism when they had the smiley faces on the table.
Yes.
They've been involved in backstage segments. And she came out this week. And this week it was revealed it was a woman. So there was a woman come out and she had a mask on. But you could tell it was a woman with a pink hoodie on. Kind of was lurking in the background. I think it was the Wendy Chu match.
No, I didn't notice at all.
Yeah, so a lot of people have been speculating who it might be, and a lot of people are saying it's probably Isla Dawn because
that makes sense from her.
Another person from NXT UK.
Her character is a bit dark and
mysterious character, not been released. I think people are assuming it's her, but that's an interesting one.
And she's dating one of Pretty Deadly, isn't she?
Yes, she is.
I can't remember which one, but yeah, she is dating. Not that that matters, but
no, but it could show a willingness for her to come and work in the US because that's a lot of the reason why some of them didn't obviously come over.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. I thought you were going to say Ginny. So I thought you were going to say
no. I could be Ginny. I'm not ruling it out being Ginny, but it's a very opposite gimmick. It's a bit of a gimmick change for Ginny.
Yeah, no, it is.
I think it makes more sense to be Isla Dawn.
No,
that was during the Cora Jade Wendy Chu match, which I'll talk about briefly now because we're just talking about it anyway. So it's quite a short match, decent enough. I like some of Wendy Chu's offense. I think she has some really good stuff. But in the end,
she's a good wrestler.
She's a good wrestler, and she makes it interesting with her style.
I think her character is a joke.
I think it's terrible. It is a bit of a joke. I don't mind it. But it's not. My problem was when it was in the main event. I think here it's okay.
Yeah, being in the title picture, no.
And then Cora Jade beat her here clean as well.
Yeah.
And then Lash Legend attacked Wendy Chu afterwards as well.
Yeah, I mean, one thing you have to give NXT credit for, they always have multiple women's feuds going on at one time. There's always stuff going on in the women's division. So I'm not upset with Lash Legend and Wendy Chu, but I'm not particularly interested in it either.
I don't really, like I said, I'm not really a Lash Legend fan.
Just let it happen. But whatever.
Yeah, I think the matches with Stratton were good. Particularly the lights out thing and they did in the end. That was a really good match. But whether we can get one with Lash Legend is a different story.
Yeah.
We also, talking of the women's division, we got an Alba Fire video promo, Toxic them reacting to it. Then they had a match against Tatum Paxley and Ivy Nile.
Yeah, Tatum Paxley's wearing a mask now.
Yeah, I've been seeing the pictures of her online with that mask on. I thought it was just for an online thing to get people excited or something. But yeah, she's actually wrestling in it. I thought it was just sort of I'm posing, but no, I'm not really sure what she's supposed to be because Ivy Nile's super serious Diamond Mine, and the Tatum Paxley's serious, but she just, I don't know, a bit different. Match was okay. Weird. Toxic get the win and they kept strong again. So we speculated they might be called up to SmackDown, but it doesn't look like that's the takeaway from this, really.
Yeah, you're probably right. And I was actually going to say, since Katana and Casey won the belts, not really done much, have they? The tag belts have gone a bit under the radar in NXT, I feel like.
Yeah, a little bit.
I think if you're going to give them the belts, get them on TV a bit more, especially. And they haven't really got a feud. I guess Toxic Attraction might be the next one, but
again, yeah.
I
feel like Toxic are always going to be in the title picture as long as they're in NXT.
Yeah, I actually think they are a bit. I would like to see them moved up, and maybe we see Alba Fire beat Mandy.
I was going to say, I think we need Mandy to come up with them, really. And I think Alba Fire, we've been saying it for months. I think all of us have said it at one point or another, that Alba Fire should be the one to beat her. And especially if they go into old school NXT more, which obviously they are leaning towards, I think Alba Fire is the perfect person to then beat her for the title because she's the best wrestler they've got.
Yeah.
If you had Alba Fire as your women's champion, Ilya Dragunov as your men's champion, boom, old NXT's back.
NXT UK, yeah.
But it's also old. It feels more black and gold NXT than Mandy Rose does. Not so much Bron Breakker. Don't want to say him, but
Bron Breakker does feel like he feels like 2.0. Like he feels like the most 2.0 guy there is, just because of his color scheme, maybe matches. He just feels 2.0. We had a bit with the schism. Again, I'm guessing we're getting Gacy and Cameron Grimes.
Yeah, that match is happening, I think.
Yeah.
My takeaway from this was, even though I hate the presentation of the dyad, of Jagger Reed and Rip Fowler, as they're now known. When they're wrestling, my God, they're fantastic.
They are good.
I was watching them wrestle. It's like, why can't they just be normal wrestlers like they were?
I know.
Because they're so bloody good.
Yeah,
I was watching them and they won here. They got a win.
Idris and Ofi, Manic Blade. One of my little. I do like those two as a team.
I think they're great for what they are, like an underdog babyface tag team. But they're never going to be like your tag. I don't think they're ever going to be tag champs or anything. But they're a good team.
No, it's a bit more from the tag division then, because we had a bit from Damon Kemp and Diamond Mine saying that he's always been trying to break Diamond Mine up.
Yeah, it was kind of
explained all the things that happened, which was, I guess, quite cool. Then Brutus and Julius basically fighting over who gets Damon Kemp next. Brutus Creed is going to face Damon Kemp, I think, next week. Interesting to see when Roddy comes back into this storyline, because he's been writ out for a little while by the looks of it. So I wonder whether we're just going to get singles matches between the Creed brothers and Diamond Mine and Damon Kemp. But it looks like Roderick Strong's not going to, side
I don't know
with
what's
Kemp.
going on. I don't know what's going on with Strong.
Yeah, I don't know his situation, whether he wants to leave. So who knows with him? But he's definitely. But they're still talking about him, so I don't think he's writ off fully.
No.
We then got a like a backstage. It's not a brawl, like a backstage, like face to face between Gallus and Briggs and Jensen.
Yeah, so they're having a pub rules match next week.
Pub rules, whatever that means. Just it kind of suits both.
It does suit both gimmicks, in all fairness. I get it. So I've not really got a problem with that. We had a couple more matches on NXT. I'll get to the last one in a minute, because I might actually give this a last minute skid mark for one thing, only for one part of it. Okay. But let's talk about Von Wagner versus Sanga first, because that was okay. And I was just not, do you know what? It was nice to see just a big man match on NXT, because it's something a bit different. We don't get much of, and I actually quite rate Sanga. I'm not a fan of Von Wagner, really.
No, Von Wagner, not for me, Von Wagner.
I quite like him, Sanga.
He's all right. I mean, I don't think either of these guys have got a massive future, for honestly. I don't think either of them are particularly special. Wagner
it was all right. And it was an impressive strength to get him up.
I think you could use Sanga if you team him back up with Veer Mahan, and you just have that old Indus shared tag team.
It's not a bad idea.
Kind of the best use for both of them. Veer Mahan is doing nothing.
Like doing nothing. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. You can have a big dominant heel tag team.
I'm not against.
It's something missing on the main roster as well, because we've not had anything like that really since, I'm going to say, Authors of Pain.
Yeah,
like we had Authors of Pain that were a massive tag team.
We even for a bit Retribution with Mason T-Bar.
Yes, yeah, they were booked like a joke.
That was very short period of time. Yeah,
that is a cracking idea.
That's what I would do.
I haven't thought of it.
I would call Sanga up and put him with Veer Mahan and make him a tag team.
Yeah, I think that's a solid idea.
Maybe give him a mouthpiece. Maybe give him Robert Stone or someone. I don't know. Give him a mouthpiece, because I think they had the guy who's just won AEW. What's his name?
Oh, Stokely Hathaway.
Stokely Hathaway. They had him.
Malcolm Bivens.
Malcolm Bivens. Yeah, that's it. They had him before when they were in the share.
Yeah.
And a bit like Office of Pain with Paul Ellerin. I think it's good to have, especially two big guys that you don't want to talk much. Just give them.
I actually think that's a really good idea.
Manager. That's what I would do with them. Yeah. Von Wagner, I have no idea what to do with him personally.
I don't think he's.
No, I don't think he's good enough to worry about. But do you want to move on to something a bit skiddy then?
Well, yeah, it's just the Carmelo Hayes situation. What's going on here? So he has a tag team match with Chase U, and Chase U are a comedy team, and he loses by roll up to Andre Chase.
Yeah, this was a weird call.
Now, unless he's getting called up, then if he appears on SmackDown and confronts Solo Sikoa on Friday and be like, I want my title back, then I'll forgive it. But if he's staying on NXT,
that would still be a weird thing. His last thing on NXT is he rolled up Andre Chase.
It would, but like you'll just forget about it. And then you'll be like, fine, it's coming out. Wow.
But no, he is in the North American title.
And I think I think Solo Sikoa tweeted, one of them tweeted saying like, I dare you to show up and take my title back or something like that. So there might be something to that. But I watched this match and I was like, okay, so it's, Bodie Hayward will probably get pinned by Carmelo Hayes here.
Yeah.
Trick doesn't need the whip. Don't pin Andre Chase. He's fine.
But why also if you want to tell a story of them losing, why not have Trick be rolled up?
Yeah.
Carmelo, I feel that's a real.
And that's why I'm going to skip it, because Carmelo's your top, in my eyes, your top guy. I know Bron's your A champion.
Well, no, I think we said before, Carmelo's the best guy in NXT.
I think Carmelo's the one that has everything.
Maybe
him and Santos Escobar were like 1A and 1B, and Escobar's gone. So.
Oh yeah, I wonder when we're going to see him on the main roster.
Surely soon. We've got to soon.
Yeah. Him and Legado. Yeah,
I can't wait to see that. But yeah, like I just don't understand the point in having Carmelo Hayes losing here.
No, I agree with you.
I know it was only a roll up, but to Andre Chase, come on.
Do you know what? I haven't got a skid mark. That's probably the closest thing I've got to skid mark this week. So I'll double
I didn't even think about it. It's on my notes. I was like, oh yeah, that happened. So yeah, I just think that was a bit of a joke.
When it happened, I was like, what's going on here? So yeah, I agree with you. Double skid mark for Andre Chase.
Absolutely.
Well, for Carmelo, but
you done that?
Yeah, I think that's all of NXT covered, other than another promo from Sol Ruka, but that's probably not worth mentioning.
No, I don't know. She's coming next week, I believe, to her debut.
Yep.
I don't know who she is though.
The women's division's quite big in NXT.
They love it.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's a great thing about NXT that they do take it very seriously, and they put a lot of people on TV. It's always been very good for that.
Yeah.
And 1.0 was as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's been like
so that's it for this week, really. So if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe. Watch out for all our content, our podcasts. I'll have my AEW. I will have a review up tomorrow, hopefully.
It's a huge
Grand Slam. I do want to talk about it, but yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched it all yet, so I can't.
I will do a separate video tomorrow. So follow us on Twitter at Recharge Wrestle, and the details will come out for this and on podcast form as well, and the AEW video. So yeah, find us on there, and that's all really. See you next week.
Cool. See you next week, guys.
Goodbye.